is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Nick and I hope you guys are doing well whenever you're checking out this latest video here on the channel. This one, another TV-based video, as you can see by the decor around me here. And it is going to be another ranking video here. We have not one, but two different lists for you guys in this video. Both top 5 lists based on two very different subjects here that pair nicely together. Top 5 best shows, in my opinion, for you to watch week to week form, and then top 5 best shows, in my opinion, to watch in a binging form. This is a topic that we've talked about previously on the channel as well in the podcast, of course, and this is a very hot topic online as far as which one people prefer to watch their TV. And personally, I am more of a week to week watcher. I definitely like watching stuff at kind of a slower pace for you to absorb everything and really get the full narrative of the story and all the plots there. But there are definitely some shows, like you will see in this video, that I think binging is definitely the way to go. So definitely, as we go through, leave your comments below as far as what shows you prefer to watch in either of these ways. And let's jump into the first list here. We're going to start off with the binging list here, going from number 5 up to number 1 here. And again, these are all going to be shows that I personally prefer here, so this is just my opinion. Also, for both of these lists, I'm only going to stick with dramas here because those are probably the most popular to see when it comes to this debate here, as far as if you binge them or if you watch them week to week here. Sitcoms and cartoons and any other style just don't really fit this sort of topic all that much. So we're going to stick with dramas here for this list. And starting off with number 5 for the binging list, we have Squid Game here. Now, this was, of course, super popular on Netflix last year in 2021. Debuted back in September, and I binged it myself. I watched through it over the course of 3 days here, which is pretty quick for me, but it is a very quick watch here, only 9 episodes long. Really entertaining as well. Of course, the basic plot here, a group of people who are kind of struggling financially, whether they have debts or they lost a lot through these financial incentives they had or investments or whatever the case is. Kind of gather together to play what this group of organizers call the Squid Game here, which is a series of games based on childhood games like Red Light, Green Light, and the Sugar Comb game, which is a popular sort of childhood game in Korea, of course, and the Squid Game itself. And with the twist that if you lose these challenges, you will also lose your life there. So that's where the stakes come from. That's where all the tension comes from. And with each death of all these different contestants, the prize pool increases there until one is left standing, winning all the cash there, which will basically rid any of their troubles in their personal lives, clearing up all these debts or whatever they have going on there. Very intense, emotional show to watch. Of course, really great acting as well. Really good writing. I liked a lot of the twists and stuff. The only reason it's as low as it is personally, I wasn't huge on the finale myself. I thought it was a little bit disappointing, but outside of that, a great game to binge through. We have Squid Game here. Following that, at number 4 here, we have a classic NBC sci-fi show that I think is supremely overlooked and underrated here in the form of Siberia here. I mentioned this before in a couple of videos that this is one of my favorites, especially when you talk about anything that's only been on for a single season here. I think Siberia was a great sci-fi show with a really interesting plot and story. It kind of has this presentation at the beginning where you think that it's a reality show with all these contestants and they're just, competing on this sort of survivor-like game show here, but it quickly turns into that it's more of a actual, there's a lot more stakes involved here. You see people getting hurt, people dying for real. That first episode there leaves off on a great cliffhanger where you don't know if this person is actually dead or not, or if it's all staged by the producers there. And as the series goes on, the more crazy and more outlandish everything gets here. Like I said, it has some of those sci-fi elements as well. It has some factors that kind of remind me of Lost as well. Another great drama there. And again, it's very quick. I actually watched it previously back in 2021 as well, when it was put up on Tubi, where you can watch it for free, which is a great bonus as well. But you can watch it over the course of a weekend here, only 11 episodes long, which is a great, short bite-sized show. Again, only one season there, so very easy watch if you want to binge it. And it comes in at number 4 here on my list. Next up here at number 3, we have The Flight Attendant here with Kaylee Cuoco as the lead on HBO Max. This was a show that me and Steph started back last year. It actually came out in 2020 in November, and we both really enjoyed it here. 8 episodes long, so another one that's super quick that you can binge through in just a couple of days here. And for me, I really like the presentation on this show. I think it definitely kind of switches it up episode to episode here. It doesn't stick with one style of format like the other shows do. It has some elements of comedy, has some elements of this thriller, mystery, action type show. Lots of big, genres that it kind of melds together with and presents each episode in a very unique way. So if you're going to watch them all at once there, you're not going to get bored. It's not going to get repetitive, which is a great factor when you're looking for shows to binge. And it, like I said, it's very quick as well. You can catch up with season 1 there on HBO Max before season 2 comes out sometime this year, which is great. Overall, highly recommend it here. The Flight Attendant coming in at number 3. My runner-up today for the best shows to binge. If you couldn't already tell, I'm a big fan of this show based on all the merch surrounding me, including my shirt here, but we have The Walking Dead here at number 2. This is just a classic drama, of course, that's been on now for over 10 years. Its final season currently airing on AMC. Just such a great show. One of those that, what more can I say about it that hasn't been said already? Their group of survivors have to survive through the zombie apocalypse, and they kind of, at the beginning, they don't really get along all that well, and there's some tension there between who's in charge, but then once they click together, it's all about teamwork and just, trying to survive and just make sense of it all. And there's some great intense moments. The acting on this show from all the leads is fantastic. The writing's great as well. Great action if you're looking for that as well. Just lots of great, fight scenes and shootouts and all that good stuff. So just very, very entertaining as well. And this kind of breaks my formula for the most part, because so far all of these binging shows have been very short, one season. But The Walking Dead is one of those that once you start, you just can't stop. Very addicting show, in my opinion. So comes in with the silver medal placement at number 2. Finally, at number 1 here, in my opinion, the best show out there to binge through is one that I started last year. Again, a 1-season mini-series this time around. Coming to us from Disney Plus here, it is going to be WandaVision. This was a fantastic superhero comedy type show. Not something that I would typically check out. Not really big on the MCU all that much, especially compared to some people there. But I really, really dug this show. It has a very unique presentation to it. Wanda and Vision have great chemistry on the show. Really, really liked their acting performances as well here. But I just love the style that they can pay homage to all these, classic sitcoms out there like I Love Lucy or The Dick Van Dyke Show in the earlier episodes, and then some of the later ones they have more modern shows that they kind of parody and pay homage to, like Malcolm in the Middle was a big one, Modern Family, that was one of my favorite episodes as well there. Super funny, lots of great comedic actors as well as some of the side characters like Kat Dennings or Randall Park, as well as Jimmy Woo, of course a big character from the show. But this one is great to binge as well because it kind of plays out like a Marvel movie, as you would expect. So I've heard a lot of people say, if you just watch in one big block there, that is the best way to experience this show. And I could not agree more. Definitely my favorite show out there to binge, coming in at number 1 on my list. With that, let's transition to my top 5 best shows to watch week to week here. Now, this is obviously going to be a little bit more different as far as the criteria goes. These are shows that would get a little bit repetitive watching all at once there. These are obviously going to be much longer shows that you want to take your time with and kind of spread out because they have a much more dense story, or they're more episodic in that regard sometimes. So these are just more shows that you like to take the pace with a little bit slower here to kind of get all of the story and all the plot lines without trying to cram it in all at once here. And to start off the list at number 5 here, we have 911 Lone Star. Great first responder type show that's currently airing on Fox here. You could totally sub in the original 911 as well here. I do enjoy that show, but I prefer Lone Star, specifically for Rob Lowe as the lead here as Captain Owen Strand. I thought he was a great performance here, really does a great job in each episode. And this one is just a lot of fun. It's very over the top, it's very silly at times. There are definitely moments where you have to kind of suspend your disbelief that any of these situations are going on. Not the most realistic show at times, but once a week it's nice to catch up with these characters and just kind of see what's going on there. The most recent season just started a couple weeks ago. As I filmed this, I talked about that on the podcast, and I thought season 3's premiere was pretty solid, so definitely a good show that you can catch up on, that you can watch on Fox there, like I said. And overall, very solid stuff, coming in at number 5 here. This next one is probably going to be the most controversial placement for this entire video here on the week-to-week list. But at number 4, I'm going with one of the most praised dramas of all time here, Breaking Bad. I know a lot of people would probably argue that this belongs on the binging list because that's how a lot of people viewed it when it came out on streaming on Netflix back in the day. For me, though, in my experience, definitely found that taking my time with this show is a lot more rewarding, to see some of those major sort of twists in the show or some of those major moments later in the series. Definitely like the chemistry, of course, between Walter and Jesse on this show. Of course, Bryan Cranston is awesome in his performance here. Great villains as well. There's a lot of great intensity through their sort of chemistry with the protagonist on it. Just great action overall. This is kind of another show like The Walking Dead where, what more do I need to say that people haven't been saying for years here, Breaking Bad. But like I said, I think the week-to-week watching is a lot more rewarding here. You get to kind of take it a little bit slower and kind of, digest everything after an episode. I feel like binging it just would, you get some of those more subliminal things or more of the, smaller details kind of lost and trying to catch up with all of it at once. And, there are some very small moments that don't appear to be super important in the earlier episodes that come back, of course, later. So you really want to be paying attention to it as you go through the series there, and I think week-to-week watching is the best way to kind of gather all that up without you forgetting those kind of smaller details that come back. So, in my opinion, week-to-week watching here for Breaking Bad, placing at number 4. At number 3 here, taking the bronze medal for the week-to-week list, we have Law & Order SVU. This is, of course, my favorite drama of all time here, as I've talked about in several videos prior, and this is another one that's currently airing, this time on NBC here on Thursdays. It's always a great, treat to come home from a long day and catch up with some Law and Order there. Each episode is usually its most self-contained plot, so all the characters, all the storyline, you're just going to see in that episode. Occasionally they'll do some ongoing plots with some of the lead characters, some relationships, stuff like that, but usually the, actual case that they're investigating each episode is self-contained, which is nice. But yeah, this has been just a staple of TV for over 20 years now. It's the longest running drama of all time here, which is really impressive to see. And I don't think it's slipped in quality at all from its premiere way back in '99. I think they're still putting out excellent episodes even to this day here, which is more than I can say for some of those other shows that have been on for nearly 20 years now, some other dramas. But Law & Order will forever be my favorite, and I hope you check it out here based on my recommendation. Week-to-week watching coming in at number 3. My runner-up for the week-to-week watching here is a little bit of a different style of show. This one, an anthology series, very similar to shows of the past, like The Twilight Zone, for example, but with a modern take on society, and that show in question is going to be Black Mirror here. This is probably my favorite anthology series out there. It's just a very unique sort of concept here, where The Twilight Zone usually does themes of like horror and it trying to be scary and frightening usually. Black Mirror is more about the technology of today, so there's a lot of plots about computers, AI, robots, things like that, that are, we're so attached to in society now, and a lot of the characters on the show kind of find themselves in a predicament based on those sort of elements that we're so used to in today's world. And it's a very good kind of series to explore some of those commentaries on and talk about some things going on in society that you don't really see represented on other TV shows like that. But the reason why, in particular, this one works so well for week-to-week watching is because each episode, kind of similar to SVU, is all its self-contained plot. So all the characters, all the story arcs for each individual episode is only going to represent themselves in that one show. You're not going to see any season-long plots or anything like that, which is nice. And this is also the shortest of any of the shows that are on my week-to-week list. So if you did want to take your time with it, traditionally, shows that would be, let's say 100 episodes or something. If you watched one a week, it would take you a very, very long time, potentially years and years to finish the entire show. But Black Mirror is only a little over 20 episodes total. So it'll only take you a few months if you wanted to take your time with it, which is really nice. And definitely recommend some of those more, acclaimed episodes out there. Usually, I'm the kind of guy who doesn't typically agree with most people as far as like what the best episode of some of these shows are, but with Black Mirror, there's episodes like White Christmas and USS Callister that are like the top rated on IMDb and such, and those are definitely the ones that I recommend you start with if you're trying to get into the show. So with all that said, Black Mirror here coming up as my runner-up for the week-to-week list. But that leaves one final show at the #1 spot, and this one hands down is my favorite here to watch every single week here without skipping a single episode, and that is going to be the trio of shows in the One Chicago franchise. As you can tell from the poster, you can't really see it, but Chicago PD up there, definitely my favorite of the three there, along with Med and Fire, of course. These ones on Wednesday nights at NBC, and these are ones that I watch every single week here. Been a big fan of these for a few years now, and definitely just so nice, again, to come home from work after kind of a long, stressful day and kind of forget about it and just kick back and watch some of these shows. Great action on a lot of them, great intensity. Recently, there's been a couple plots on some of these that I talked about, again, in the podcast that I wasn't really the biggest fan of, but definitely some storylines that I think they always do really well. The relationships on these shows definitely are a treat to watch and kind of keep up with as well. And they're not super, heavy, story arcs or anything. It's not like Breaking Bad where there's, little details that you have to remember. So that's really nice because, just more relaxing and just fun to watch these shows every single week. So for me personally, definitely going to come up as #1 here for the best shows to watch in a week-to-week format. And with that, that concludes the video here. Like I said, if you guys have any suggestions or any other shows that you would love to talk about in the comments, I'd love to have a discussion down there with you. What are some of your favorite shows to either watch week to week or to binge through? And with that, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. We will see you in the next one. Take care, everybody.